Hey guys, so today bringing you another video. Now welcome to a POV commentary. So obviously the last few episodes you've been getting as replay formats, and I know that isn't the favorite of everybody. Apologies, it's just the way of it. I still upload 2 videos a day and I wanted to show you that content. I wanted to show you the Master promo so far. So we resume Master promo, currently 2 wins, 0 losses. To be honest, at this stage, we were doing this in one play session. Here's by the way, the loading Meduda. So only Master player in this game is the Janna. I'm obviously 2-0 in promo. There's a Quinn, weirdly, a one-trick Quinn, and then a Fiora. So I was making the point that the Quinn has got 2-point-something million mastery points, one-trick Quinn, and the Fiora, as you can clearly see, is auto-filled and doesn't play Fiora. So what a lot of people say is champion experience is really important. In theory, this Quinn should absolutely crush this Fiora, right? Obviously, that isn't always the case. Now, the thing that was worrying me a little bit this game was the jungle. Our jungler is auto-filled. Their jungler is a jungle main. For me, and let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but whenever I see an auto-filled jungler, it makes me nervous because jungling is the most unique role. It's the most different role. You need to have, I would say, the most knowledge specifically about your role to do well in jungle. You need to know about path clear, jungle timing, when to invade, when to not, when to gank, when to not. You have to know how every matchup goes. And yeah, so some people may recognize, by the way, this Kai'Sa. So obviously has the name Beyonce, which is quite funny. But this was the Kai'Sa that was playing Veigar a few games ago. That they're the Katarina one-trick. So obviously they've been auto-filled to bot lane this game, and they are playing Kai'Sa. So yeah, again, the higher rating you go, the less players there are about, especially if you play at the same time of day. You are more likely, because this wasn't the same day, I don't believe, that we played against that player. I think it was the day before. You are just a more increased chance of playing against the same people. Because again, like I said, if you're in, let's just give a random number, the top 10,000 players on your server, well, it's not that you're in your specific MMR bracket, you might be in the top 10,000 players, but in your specific MMR bracket, there could be 2,000 to 3,000 people who you specifically could match against in your MMR bracket. And then when you're playing like this game, let's just say we played on a Tuesday in the middle of the day, you know, there's also, out of those 2,000 to 3,000 people you could get matched against, there might only be 400 or 500 of those players playing at the same time. So that's where, and when you finish a game and then start a game, especially, that's when you'll get the same people. And that's kind of the nature of it. You're going to get the same people more often than not, the higher rating you go. So what was interesting to me, by the way, is this Lissandra. You don't really see Lissandra. She is not a carry. She is what you'd call an anti-carry. And the weird thing to me is her ban. So just to think right now of what you would expect a Lissandra to ban or not to ban. And yeah, she banned Zed, which to me is bizarre because Lissandra, I believe, is known to be a counter of Zed's, not the other way around. So that was really funky to me. Like, again, maybe the player specifically, we all have our kryptonites, even though Lissandra's a counter. Maybe just the player struggles against Zed. I don't know. So we're doing okay in poking. We have 1 potion left, and she has actually used all of hers, so that's not too bad. Obviously, it goes without saying, we've never really spoken about it too much with Swain, but he does gain health when he hits W. So I'm going to try and help my bot lane. I land a W, my Janna goes down first blood. I hit a double W, by the way, so 2 stacks there, which is not a bad thing. And we actually end up with an assist for ourselves over on the Kai'Sa. So that's not bad. We will happily take that. So when it comes to mid lane, the only truly scared thing I am, you know, is this game like the Swain game a few games ago that I can just at level 6 survive 4 people? Not really. They've got, I believe it's a Lee Sin, and Lee Sin actually does have early damage, where the comp from a few games ago didn't have early damage. So Lissandra is an anti-carry, but what she also is she can lock someone down. So when she has level 6, she can ult me, she can W me, she can Everfrost me eventually, and I will be stuck in place for quite some time. And with Lee Sin's early damage, it's going to be hard to survive that. So that is in my mind. Also, you know, again, there's a Quinn in top lane. Quinn isn't designed for top, really. She's designed to try and survive top lane or try to get some cheesy kills in the early game as an AD carry champion. But ultimately, she's designed to roam. So naturally, you also got to expect Quinn to start coming mid eventually as well. And that's again when you're inviting, oh, Thingy is here, like, you know, multiple people here with a Lissandra lockdown. So they go for a ganking bot lane. I try to go for a W, but I don't believe I hit anything. Lee Sin just surviving for now, which is unfortunate. Shyvana gets the kill, and I decide to commit still to this roam. I've got Ghost, so I pop it preemptively. Why do I pop it? Because Lee Sin is arguably basing right now, and I'm like, screw it, we're going to go. Lissandra, by the way, is here as well. I wish I was more patient with that E, because I probably could have landed it if I was a bit more patient. And now the enemy team is definitely on the back foot. So both me and Lissandra decide to roam this. I'm still landing damage, but I do take a tower hit, which isn't good. Still wanting to block off the enemy team so they can't escape. I hit the E with the Jhin damage, and we do get that kill on Kai'Sa, which is nice. Lissandra uses her Ignite on the Janna, and the Janna just survives. Unfortunately, Shyvana will go down in the end. But of all of that, the one that got the kill is the Thresh. So ultimately, not a big deal. I got a kill. Obviously, at the beginning of the play, Shyvana got a kill, and I also think Jhin got a kill. So all of that for giving a Thresh a kill, yeah, that's fine. That's not bad at all. Speaking of comp, by the way, our comp isn't very cohesive, is what I would say. Jhin, you could argue it's cohesive in some ways. I was worried by the way they were doing Dragon here, so that's why I don't wait for full health. I'm like, I'm going to try and get to the pit as quick as I can, W it or something. At least you can see, I'm like, they have to be doing it right. And then lo and behold, they weren't, I believe. So one thing I was pointing out there is cheesy Quinn range versus melee is hardly ahead of the Fiora. That's a really good sign, like really good sign for this Fiora, again, who's autofilled, who doesn't play Fiora. So like, do I think Fiora is the hardest champion in the world? No. But should someone with 2 million mastery points, one tricks a champion in top lane, should they beat somebody with 2 games on that champion? Yeah, they probably should. Thresh gets himself caught out. The reason for ulting this, by the way, even though, you know, you don't really want to use a big ultimate like that on a Thresh, is a number advantage at any stage of the game is good. And a number advantage right now should give us the dragon. Unfortunately, we were doing it, and then it got stolen. Now, you will see a pattern this game. So again, you could call it the nature of autofill versus not. Also, if anybody noticed on Professor, the Lee Sin in his tags had Epic Stealer. So obviously the player is actually quite good at smite steals. Naturally, Lee Sin is a good champion for smite steals as it is, because his Q is an execute. So you can time the Q with a smite, and arguably, with timing it perfectly, you're doing more damage. I do a really weird E there. So this is the first gank that I'm getting outnumbered ganked. Honestly, didn't really expect it of all people to be the Thresh. Hilariously though, as you just saw, he took a free kill. Lissandra probably will be quite annoyed about that. Which, you know, yes, it's not a good death, but for the exact same time, okay, I'm dead. Thresh gets the kill. In bot lane, you have left your AD carry kill alone, and my Jhin gets the kill. So I'm not saying like I want to die in any way in the game, but Thresh getting a kill in mid lane versus my Jhin getting a kill in bot lane, that is okay. You know, that is fine. It would be slightly different if Lissandra got the kill. If Lissandra got the kill and Jhin got the kill, well, then it's a bit more even. Now, obviously, I don't really know what's going on in the Thresh's mind. He's roaming, like maybe he's given up bot lane. I'm not sure. He's gone mid lane and ganked mid lane. Yes, his AD carry is dead, so you could argue, oh, he doesn't need to return to AD carry bot lane, which is true. But now he's roaming the top. So a bit of over roaming, weird play by the Thresh. You know, Kai'Sa's now bot lane again by herself, no support. Again, this is the nature of support that I'm not a fan of, is these supports that are like, I'm in top lane before 10 minutes. Dude, your AD carry needs help. Like, that's the point, is the way that I've always described the nature of AD carry and all of that, is AD carries are like the little baby, and the support is the more powerful one in the lane phase, that you're trying to raise this AD carry to become big and strong, and if you leave early, well, that baby gonna struggle. And that's what a lot of supports do. So I'm trying to help the Shyvana in any way I can. I try to block off the W on the Quinn, but she flashes over it. So yeah, she flashed escaped. Do a nice E on the Lissandra. Again, trying to just get those stacks. Again, as I said, I've not really spoken about it too much. Again, outtrade the Lissandra, not bad, while still tanking a lot of minions there. But obviously, the more stacks you get on a Swain, the more health you get. So that's where you do see Swain's natural build has a lot of health items, and his passive is giving him health. This is where a carry Swain dealing a lot of damage can easily end up with over 4,000 health. Not many battle mages do get up to that stage. So I saw Lee Sin in mid lane, by the way, so he's hovering around, and also Thresh. So there is 3 people in mid lane again, or 3 people in mid lane trying to kill me. I did somewhat notice, as you'll see this game progress, there was a little bit of focus on me. So Lissandra ulting again, this time a little bit different, but once again 3 people mid lane. I thought, you know, the little bit different this game, that time, was I did get my ultimate off first. Now, second thing this game, by the way, so you notice the dragon got stolen by the Lee Sin. Don't ask me how, but the Shyvana was doing Rift Herald, and Quinn stole the Rift Herald. So that is now the second objective this game that has been stolen outright by the enemy team. Again, the Lee Sin one, you can kind of understand somewhat. Okay, you both got smite, but he's got the execute. He can time it. Fair enough. Don't ask me how Rift Herald gets stolen. I have no idea how that gets stolen from someone who doesn't have smite. Not really sure. So that was a bummer. Lee Sin going for a play on the Janna. So as naturally you'd expect, like literally as naturally you'd expect, there is a jungle difference this game. But that's the point. There should be a jungle difference. That is the whole point of solo queue. Now, Lissandra just survives for now. Quinn then, which is so annoying for me. I don't know where Lissandra went, by the way. Quinn then shows up to try and save. So this is the point. We are getting outnumbered nearly every single minute of the game in mid lane right now. Is okay, Thresh and Lee Sin have been mid twice recently. Thresh was mid lane earlier. Quinn's now been mid lane. And this is the sucky thing, because I feel like I'm stronger than Lissandra. I can out-trade her. We nearly just killed her. Yes, she did muck up. And by the way, yes, she was waiting in a bush. So that was quite frustrating, I will say, for me. She was literally just bush-wookieing. We do get the kill, which is nice. She ignited me, and, yeah, we get it. But just some very odd play. And obviously, this is naturally what to expect. Now, the one thing we don't know, and, you know, some people in Twitch chat said, Huz, maybe the Kai'Sa said to focus you. And I was like, huh? So remember, this is the same Kai'Sa from the game that I played against them and did really well on Swain, and I think we did pretty great that game. And maybe, again, depends if people use chat. If I used chat, you know, if I actually pressed and used the chat feature in League of Legends, meanwhile I'm nervous about another steal, by the way. If I knew opponent was very good on the champion that I'd played with them previously, I would probably do a little bit of a warning going, hey, that player is pretty good. And yes, once again, everybody, the third objective that the enemy team has stolen. Literally, every objective has been stolen away from the Shyvana. So, very tilting to be on that team of not just one dragon, not just one Rift Herald. Now, 2 dragons, which we had prior over, and 1 Rift Herald, which we were doing. All of them have been stolen. That is, yeah, that is awful. So Lissandra mid again, and Quinn using Ghost to get to me. So yeah, I will say, as at this point, and Thresh, so 3 people mid lane again, very tilting. You know, I think anybody would get tilted from this type of game. You're literally being outnumbered the whole match. There's pretty much nothing you can do at this stage when you're just getting camped this hard. And, you know, let's be honest, we're not really getting any form of help. We haven't had one Shyvana gank or anything, so yeah. Enemy team mucking up quite big. Lee Sin trying to survive as much as he can. Annoyingly, Janna probably should have gone more aggro because she eventually kills the Lee Sin. Yes, she was trying to be nice to give the kill over to to Jhin. But if she went a bit more aggro, then that means Jhin could have probably focused, but he gets the kill anyway. He could have focused on the Kai'Sa straight away if the Lee Sin died earlier. But still, it's a fine situation. They both end up dead eventually. But yeah, like, let me know what you guys think. Like, this type of game, what would you do? The biggest thing that you can try and do is try to keep your cool and just play the game. One thing that you'll notice throughout, and you know, I wasn't planning on doing the video. Meanwhile, Janna overstays and dies or gets caught under tower or something. I knew I wasn't going to upload this as a live commentary, but I was still talking to the people that are watching live in Twitch. And what I was basically saying this game, as the game goes throughout, is I basically started playing for my team. Is I am going to be the ultimate distraction, especially in a team fight where I go massive demon bird form. They have to focus me. Otherwise, I will actually be somewhat of a problem no matter what. But if I can just be a distraction, if I can be a problem, then that enables Jhin to do better. That enables Shyvana to do better. That's kind of sometimes the point. Land a good W there on the Quinn. but she does end up surviving. Shyvana, I did kind of note there, she actually did muck up her dragon form. She got caught on the corner. Lee Sin was waiting in the area, but he will end up surviving or running away. And then weirdly, Kai'Sa is now here. So Lissandra's now bot and Kai'Sa's mid. The Kai'Sa was having also a pretty bad time. You know, at least I've had 2 kills. The Kai'Sa at this point is 0-4. So there is a slight difference. At least I'm still getting some kills. We're just being outnumbered in most situations. So like, what the hell can I do? So now you have Lissandra and Thresh laning in bot lane and Kai'Sa's in mid. Now, is that a good thing? Now, what I would argue is like, yes, Kai'Sa's not having a good time, but arguably Kai'Sa's not having a good time because the Thresh has left her alone and kind of screwed her a lot. But what's actually happening is if you put Thresh back in mid, but you keep the gank happening, and meanwhile Quinn first solo death to the person that doesn't play Fiora. If you kept Thresh bot lane, then that instantly helps the Kai'Sa more. But you could continue Quinn coming mid, you could continue Lee Sin coming mid, and then I'm still getting screwed. So realistically, that lane swap isn't really the right thing to do. So Lee Sin tries to get the revenge kill, and what I should do here is as soon as the cooldown goes, I should have W'd that bush. Maybe with instantly doing it, I might have been able to get the Lee Sin cancel, but it wasn't quite to be. But again, not a terrible situation. So they end up killing the Thresh, who actually hilariously was on a shutdown because he kept taking everyone's kills. And then, yeah, Kai'Sa is back to bot lane and Lissandra is somewhere. I don't know where. Also, weirdly, Quinn is now bot lane. So, again, this is roughly the time of the game to expect a Quinn to abandon top lane and just kind of hyper roam. There she is. Because that's kind of what the champion does. For one, I think Quinn could be a really cool and interesting champion. To me, she's just kind of in that forever lame category because she's basically how am I going to say, a real cheese pick. What does that mean? She's technically a top laner, but she's an AD carry, so she's not really a top laner. But like, that's the only lane you can realistically play her in. So it's just a bit weird. Meanwhile, bam, Shyvana does get the kill. Kai'Sa flashes, ends up dead. 0-5 Kai'Sa at this stage. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, but remember, that is the one-trick Katarina player. Which, again, you never know with these, because some people are like, why hasn't the player dodged? You don't know. Maybe they've already dodged today. Maybe they've dodged twice today, and you can't really dodge a third time, because then you have a 12-hour queue. Or maybe they just don't dodge. There are a bunch of one-tricks that think they can play any champ. So maybe she's just one of them. I don't know. I decided Quinn dead again. So now you're, by the way, starting to see the effect of, well, Quinn. She is completely fallen off in top lane. And this isn't just a Fiora thing. This is any pretty much meta, bruiser, duelist champion in top. Yes, they might be a bit annoyed by a Quinn in the early game. You'll be a bit annoyed by an Akshan or a Vayne in the early game. But the difference between an Akshan, a Vayne, and a Quinn is honestly, and people might be surprised me saying this, if you want to play an AD carry top lane, the one that I would least recommend is Quinn. Because she is purely... Her playstyle is pure and simple for herself, but she's basically weaker than Vayne in most aspects. Like, yeah, she could out-roam a Vayne because she's got the movement speed with her ulti, but Vayne does more raw damage. Vayne is better in 1v1 duels. She's got the stun, and she's got the stealth aspect. She's got the percentage true damage, which is very handy, obviously, against most top lane champions. So realistically, that would be better. Meanwhile, enemy team, as you can see, is early grouping. So they go for a big play. 2 of them are waiting the bush. We get focused. I end up dead. Again, that's 4 people, I think, around bot lane at this stage. It might even be 5. I actually think it might be 5, which is kind of mad. So the enemy team are on the back foot. We haven't killed anybody right now, by the way. A lot of them are low health. We haven't quite been able to finish anybody off. And that is quite unfortunate. Thresh, I do think, is going to be the sacrifice for the enemy team. So again, technically, for so far, worth it for the enemy team because they've traded a support for a mid laner, as you know, I'm the mid laner. But yeah, so this game, meanwhile, my team do a bit of a misplay. Shyvana goes down, Jhin overextends it, doesn't end up getting killed also, and that will be that. So we actually end up losing that fight quite badly, which is obviously not a great situation. But yeah, so again, clearly worth knowing, at this stage of the game, I'm trying to keep my head in the match, but this match, let's be honest, is not going very well. For me personally, it's going well for Fiora in some places. Jin's been doing okay. He just did overstay and got killed in bot lane there. but it's not doing too well. But again, when you're having a bad game of League, and this is pretty much any situation, you try your best to hold on to any positives you can. What's the positives? Their comp is pretty bad. And again, I know I might sound like I'm beating on a Quinn a bit here, but the champ just isn't very good. Quinn is always going to make your comp pretty rough. Meanwhile, I'm seeing an opportunity here. Unfortunately, we go for it, and yeah, they have exhaust. So did I expect them to have exhaust, which that, by the way, really did hurt me? So Quinn uses double sums. I do eventually get the kill, which is something. But no, I didn't expect them to still have exhaust, which was unfortunate. That probably was a double kill if they didn't have exhaust, but it is what it is. But yeah, so what I will say is when I was playing this match, which I played this match, I believe, yesterday, I did kind of feel like just nothing is going my way. But what is going my way, I will say in some aspects, is even though my KD is negative, our KDA is neutral. We've been involved in 6 kills and I've died 6 times. So right now, yes, I've technically given more gold than I have gained, but I've been involved in equal amounts. Where the Lissandra, she only has, I will say, a 1 kill at this stage. She's 1-2-5, so we've both been involved in 6 kills. She's died less, but we've been involved in the same amount of kills. So you can kind of keep your mental a little bit in it of like, yes, it's not going too well for me, but I'm involved as much as she is. And remember, again, she is a anti-carry. I am a carry. So the longer the game goes on, yes, it is like an uber grind fest. It doesn't feel great. You're getting focused a little bit, but I will be strong eventually. I just need a few items. That's the thing. Enemy team once again doing bush rookie plays. We also get ulted. Again, it really did feel like there was something potentially personal going on because I was the prime focus pretty much in every single fight. We end up doing a really nice drag there. Fight continuing. We get ourselves a double kill. Enemy team gets wrecked. By the way, yes, we're back to full health. That was a mixture of Swain being Swain and I believe Fiora completed her ultimate. So once again, enemy team go for me. Threshook, Lissandra ultimate, all of it. Lee Sin. We end up surviving thanks to, I think, Janna also saved me there, which is nice. Lissandra going for a weird play. Again, what is the point of even going near us? You're just dying for the sake of it, and that will give us the Baron. So that was a really big turn play, and that instantly put a smile on my face of going, finally. It's that moment that the exact same thing happened. You know, they caught me with being in a bush, but we actually managed to turn it that time. And what's the difference? My team was with me. So yes, I got my ultimate off and all of that. That's great. But the only reason that turned around is where normally, you know, oh, they'd have 3 people against just me. Well, they had 3 people, or 3 or 4. But hey, my Janna could shield and ult. My Fiora could ult eventually. She TP'd in, by the way, and she healed me with her ult. So there were ways that, you know, my team helped me out that time, which is better. So we're catching up the Thresh. He actually used Locket in a bit of a preemptive scare. Now, I will say I was nervous because obviously in this game, 3 actual objectives have been stolen, which is always not a great thing. You can see the Lee Sin's back there. He's wanted to see. He goes early. So that's the mistake this Lee Sin makes. He actually goes really early, and now that should give us the dragon. It is resetting, which isn't great, but we do get it. See, Lee Sin should have been a bit more patient there. But I think, you know, I went for Wing him, and I think that kind of spooked him into like going or something. I'm not really sure. Lissandra getting caught, so she's kind of doing what I've done a few times this game. We do get a nice E into the damage. So the thing with Lissandra is she can survive for a really long time. Jhin gets the kill. Shyvana then overstays and dies. And then we are looking for a Lee Sin. Janna, unfortunately, I get kicked away. She's trying to survive. I use my ulti. I think I pop Ghost. I do. I get the Thresh. We're now looking for the Lee Sin. If I can chase him down. I think, by the way, if I'm not mistaken at this stage, Quinn has realized she's kind of useless in a team fight situation. So Quinn has just started to split push. Do I blame her for that? No. It is honestly the thing that Quinn needs to do because she can't team fight. What a Quinn can do in this situation is either split push or she has to look for picks. If like our Jhin, if our Jhin is off to the side by himself or he's ulting way back in the far and no one's protecting him, then a Quinn could go for him. But realistically, in the last team fight or 2, we actually have been stacking up and grouping now. So the game is now completely turned on its side. Just reminding everyone, we were not doing well KD-wise. We have now been involved in 11 kills, but guess what? Instead of a negative KD that was 3-6, we're now 6-6. We've actually neutralized our KD. So that's the kind of thing. If you completely give up, even though it's been a frustrating game and you're being outnumbered and all of this stuff, well, if you give up, you're probably just completely conceding and that's it. End of story. But if you keep going, even though it is really frustrating, you can do stuff. And this, by the way, I will say, is another argument of mine of why I do not play early game champions. You know, if you love early game champions, all power to you. I miss playing Renekton. I love Renekton. I can't play him anymore because of his scaling, but I miss playing him. But that's my point, is if I was playing a early game champion and I had this early game of getting camped a bit, 1v3 all the time, I'm negative KD, well, then there's not really that potential to bounce back because, oh, I've kind of fallen off. My early game is my strong point and I got camped. Well, that sucks. Get a nice pick there on the Lissandra, pop my ulti, and watch my positioning. I get exhausted again. I have 4 people on me. I get my dots on 4 people. Shyvana eventually jumps in. The whole time that I have 4 people on me, by the way, where the hell is my team? They were dealing, I believe, with a Quinn or something. I'm not 100% sure. Luckily for us, bam, snipe. So that is a 2 for 2. So Lissandra goes down eventually. Quinn goes down eventually. Me and Shyvana go down eventually. I don't know if Fiora was split pushing the entire time. I'm not sure. But yeah, we were among 4 people there and just being like, you shall not pass. And we're getting exhausted and everything. Enemy team is obviously, they've got the number advantage. So they're trying to use that and they will. They do get the Jhin, which I would say is worth it overall. Kai'Sa very low. Good flash by Janna. And that, I think, is the end of the fight. Fiora is now coming in at the late end. I'm trying to get in range if I can to use a good W. I think Fiora does decide to back off. I'm looking for a W range, by the way. You never know. Kai'Sa could be basing. She might not pay attention. If she was there, bam, she's dead. But, you know, she ultimately was not in that bush, unfortunately. But, yeah, crazy game. Absolutely nuts. We do have the kill lead. We do have the tower lead. We do officially have the dragon lead now, I believe, as well. Quinn going for a stupid play. So again, this is something you also see is people are getting a bit desperate. The Quinn gets so desperate to get involved in a kill, she uses her flash as a carry champion to just kill our support. But then she's 100% dead after, which I think then she gave it to either a Jhin or a Fiora. So again, that's really weird too. I'm not really sure about that one. So I'm side laning, which is honestly the first bit of side laning we've done, I think, most of this match. Worth knowing, I am not pressing... The funny thing is, and the hilarious thing about doing these POV commentaries, by the way, is I press tab, you know, the scoreboard, very fast. And I would like, when I'm doing these commentaries, for it to be a bit slower so I can see all the stuff on the scoreboard. But that's the difference of when you're playing the game, and meanwhile the Thresh gets caught, I land my W on him, so I'll get a cheeky assist there, I think. There we go. When you're playing the game... I'm pressing tab and I exactly know in the moment what I'm looking for, what piece of information I want. It might be, what's the farm? What is my farm? So I know I press tab for a split second and I know exactly where to look. I know at the area I'm looking for my own farm. Meanwhile, we find a Quinn. Managed to land the E there. Do decent damage. We do die, but we end up trading the kill, which isn't too bad. Fiora then getting a nice pick, potentially on the Lissandra. So this is ultimately kind of the playstyle that we kind of started to go for. Is, I will say, and I did even say in this match, I literally didn't care for my KDA. What I'm looking to try and do in most of these fights is enable a situation that hopefully will be beneficial for us. I don't care about dying, and you'll see why later. But every time that I'm getting focused, from 3 to 4 people, that means Jhin isn't getting focused, and to me that is better. Because Jhin is, well, I would probably even put Jhin in the hyper carry category. So Lee Sin once again goes really early for a potential steal. I will say, this player, I don't know what the right way to say is. Like, he was an okay Lee Sin, but he seemed to be pretty one-dimensional of, I want to just steal objectives. So I don't know, that was his playstyle, I guess. So Dragon did get finished. A bad smite, by the way. So if Lee Sin was enabled to actually go for that, or if he did cheeky go for it, he probably would have stolen that one too. But again, not too bad. That gives us, I think, 3 dragons now, I believe. It might be 2, but I think it's 3. Up to 43 stacks, by the way, for Swain, which isn't bad. 43 isn't too bad at 28 minutes. Could have more, but again, it's not terrible. Using my W, by the way, occasionally just on side lanes, because when the lanes are pushing into you, if I just use my W once or twice on a side lane, it will make the difference of then eventually getting my lane to push instead. Because my W is going to do the damage, the dot damage on all the minions, and my wave will take over eventually. which is good. So Fiora's side laning, and a Quinn thinks she can take her on. The Fiora, by the way, would annihilate this Quinn at this stage of the game, but what's happened is, hey, the enemy team is there, so Fiora tried to run away. I'm ulting early, I go for a big ultimate play, and then all the CC in the world comes out, and I end up dead. But it's another trade, and the enemy team is now completely on the back foot. So again, my one death so far ends up in a double for Jhin. Again, not the end of the world. Shyvana is actually having a 2v1 fight with the Thresh and the Lee Sin, and the Shyvana actually kills the Lee Sin, and I think she will go down. By this stage of the game, Lee Sin has kind of fallen off compared to a Shyvana, but obviously Shyvana was nearly dead at the end of that fight anyway, but it's still not terrible at all. I think I'm very close to Riley, so I think I might have mentioned, if you watched the Malzahar game last game, very similar in the aspect that a lot of the champions I play seem to be 3 item spike carries. That same as Swain. You want your double dot items, and then you want Riley. And I will say, you don't have to do it in this order all the time. You can change the order from time to time. There are some games that Riley is actually better second. But this game, I just thought... I kind of realized pretty early on we're going to be focused a little bit with CC this game. Riley is good, but Riley's good when you can be aggressive, because you're slowing everybody and they can't get away from you. Where Demonic is going to help me get more damage on when I know I'm going to kind of die anyway. And Demonic obviously gives me a bit more tankiness. So, to be fair, I think the order that we did this game was fine. Now, there was a big thing of like, Huz, where's Zhonya's? So there might even be already comment section going, why don't you have Zhonya's, or why don't you have a stopwatch? It was actually for a reason. It wasn't an oversight. It wasn't a mistake of like not buying it, in my opinion. It was a clear decision that I made to not buy it. Enemy team going for, once again, a kind of weird, desperate engage. So the difference of this fight compared to the last fights is, instead of focusing me, even though we have had some focus, hilariously, they use all the spells on a Janna. So I still end up dying, but we get the enemy team fairly low, and my team will be able to clean up very nicely. So Quinn goes to the play, uses her flash. I think she might have even used Ghost there as well, but she ultimately should go down, I believe, in the end of that. Fiora is left alive, by the way, on full health, and she's level 17. That's a very strong Fiora and a Shyvana. And I think the only one left alive is Lee Sin, who, once again, I love Lee Sin, but Lee Sin at this stage has kind of fallen off. Now, ultimately there, Lee Sin played that well, but also Fiora misplayed. If Fiora used her W well, she would have easily killed that Lee Sin, but she did misplay it a bit, and fair play to the Lee. So this game is still up for grabs, and I just noticed, I pressed the tab, we only have 2 dragons. They actually have 3. So if Lee Sin did actually go for that steal and got it, they would have got Dragon Soul. So that is the importance, that we've had 2 dragons stolen this game. 2 dragons. They have only 3 of them, so 2 of them they shouldn't even have, arguably, and we arguably should have had Dragon Soul by now. So that is the thing of smites. You know, you need to make sure you are good with doing them if you are going to jungle. And if you're not great with them, acknowledge that. And that's the thing. People are like, okay, you're not good with smites. You acknowledge that. What should you do? Don't even go for objectives. Only go for objectives when the enemy team is at a weak point. So the enemy team is going for a bit, what I would call a bit of a desperate Baron here. Honestly, unsure why. No one on my team is dead. So yeah, I was a bit uncertain. And then hilariously, so the Lee Sin mucks up big ulti triple E by myself. So yeah, what happened there was the Lee Sin mucked up big time for the first time this game. Land another double E into the damage. We get ourselves a couple shutdowns, double kill. But yeah, so Lee Sin, for the first time this game, he's been so objective-minded. If you notice, he left the pit the moment the Baron was about to die. Shyvana actually jumped in the pit with her ulti that you can't stop, but Jhin got the Baron with his ulti. If the Lee Sin stayed in that pit and just pressed smite with his Q, 100% would have got it. Potentially, I will say, they probably were still going to lose that team fight. Like, 3 of them stacked up for my E. I got a massive combo off. I think we won that team fight anyway, but that was just kind of the icing off the cake. That, oh, we even got the Baron. Lissandra ends up dead. And by the way, I don't know if anybody's been keeping tabs on Lissandra's KDA this game. I think Lissandra finished this game 1 kill, 9 deaths. Like, that's the thing. She's an anti-carry that couldn't ultimately stop us enough. So even though this was a pretty rough game by me, I thought I played it okay. Yes, I was a bit stressed. You know, it's Master Promo. I think most people would be stressed. Yes, I was a bit frustrated getting camped as much as we were. But just to say, you try your best to keep your head in the game, try to keep your damage flowing, focus on the right thing. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves back in Master. So this ultimately was a promo that we went 3 wins, 0 losses. We are back in Master, which, trust me, is a really nice feeling. So just to also explain, this is our 4th Master promo that we've been in. We ultimately won the first Master promo, going 3 wins, 2 losses up to game 5. We then got demoted, which is normal. Again, demotion is part of it. I'm hoping this time we can keep it. But second Master promo, I believe it also went to game 5, I believe, but we lost it. Master promo 3, we went 0 wins, 3 losses. And now this Master promo, we go 3 wins, 0 losses. So it's a great feeling. This is where I want to be. So promoted to Master, hell to the yeah. Swain obviously is the champ that we used a bit this time. And what was nice for me is when I got Master the first time, a lot of people, obviously vast majority, 99.9% people were like, hell yeah, that's amazing. Some people, they were like, again, I'm not going to blow the situation out of proportion. There was like 2 people that was like, oh, he only got there because of his Anivia. Didn't use Anivia at all. Look at the top left. We went on a crazy win streak to get ourselves back to Master without using Anivia. But even though, again, we had a pretty rough game, the Jhin was the really fed one, I actually did the most damage in the game. Yes, by not much. We just beat our Jhin by 500 damage, but I did the most damage in the game. That was me being in the middle of the team fights, being the massive distraction for actually enabling Jhin to go, oh, I'll finish you off, I'll finish you off. And that's ultimately what happened. I was dealing a lot of team fight damage and actually getting all the enemies back to half health or so. I was getting 3 to 4 enemies to half health each team fight. And then Jhin was the one that would be, I finished that person off, I finished that person off, and it worked really well. And again, the idea of not building Zhonya's was exactly that reasoning. The moment that I have Zhonya's, by the way, and I'm in a team fight, that I'm getting focused, and I press Zhonya's, what does that do? That makes the enemy team go, oh, we can't damage Swain anymore. Where's the next target? Where's Jhin? But if I don't Zhonya's, they are staying on me. So that is why I decided not to get Zhonya's. I would have, by the way, bought it next. Like, just to say, I would have bought it as my next item because Jhin was fed enough. But it enabled Jhin to get really fed for being kind of free to do what he wanted. But yeah, really nice. Very happy about that. If you guys did enjoy, though, this Master promo, a bit stressful, do throw a comment on it. Do throw a like on it. And the next content will be back to live commentaries. Hopefully you guys don't mind too much. It's been replay orientated. It's just been a bit of a weird time. Again, I actually am recording this POV commentary on my birthday. You'll be seeing this in a day or 2. But yeah, again, look, the Sandra went 1 and 9, by the way. But anyway, that's going to be it. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal